Alright, hey, what's up? I'm tied up, hanging in my garage. Got some more progress on my drift trike. It's been a while. I don't work very quickly because I'm busy all the time. But I got my front end squared away. We got my head tube. The head tube's pretty cool. Machined it on a manual lathe with a very dull cutter. But the bearings fit in there real good, and I'm happy with it. I also got my brakes done up, so I've got dual brakes on a wheel that was really never intended to have disc brakes, but I made it work. I think I probably hurt the structural integrity of this wheel. I had to wallow out the holes in the plastic to get the bolts to go through, but it works for now, and if I shred this wheel, I'll just have to get a new wheel. Both brakes work. Both brake lines run through the fork, which took a little bit of effort. Kind of had to get a little barbaric with it. But by God, it works, and is slick as snot. So yeah, I've got head tubes. They're not good. This is 1.25 inch, schedule 80. It works out pretty sweet. It's got a big welded seam, and if it weren't for that seam, you could almost jam some cups in there without machining it. I talked to my machinist buddy. He said that he could do a CNC machine. He said he'd charge me $12 a piece, and I told him that's what I want to charge. So we may have to figure out a different way to keep the cost down. It's cheap. It's 50 cents an inch. I want to keep the price low and sell a bunch of these and make my money back on this material. We'll see how that plays out. But in the meantime, I got my head tube. I've got a few others that are pretty okay. They work, but their tolerances are pretty sloppy. Some you got to hammer in, some will have some slop. That's the project for another day. Now it's time for me to start building my rear axle. And to talk about my rear axle, these are the PVC that I want to use. It's super thick. It ends up being something like 9 inches. So they're a little bit smaller than your 10-inch PVC. This is going to be a project in and of itself because I don't want to use go-kart tires. I don't want to use dolly tires. I'm a welder. I want to make a steel wheel that this sleeve will slide over and be held on with a ring with some screws. That's a huge undertaking, but that's going to be a project and a video all in itself. But that's what I'm going with for now. To make that happen, I've started my rear axle. And these two are going to get spliced together to have a 3-inch drop, which would give me an overall ground clearance of about 1 inch with those sleeves. What I have is a pipe bender. All the frames that I make out of inch schedule 40 pipe because it's strong, it's cheap, and you can get it at your big box home improvement stores. It's easy to come by. I might actually have to get some more pipe, but what I did was bent up these two pieces, cut them in half at the bend, added a little spacer, and I had to make a little fixture because there's not a flat surface anywhere on this table. I had to make my own little thing to get that 3-inch drop, get them to where I want them. So I think pretty soon I'll do an edit and show you a completed 3-inch drop rear axle. We'll go from there. Alright, so I'm back. I have blended the welds on my pieces, trimmed off the excess. Now I'm ready to put these two pieces together. Put it in my fixture. I've got 3-inch spacers, both sides. Now we'll make it stick. That second tack made it move. We'll have to try again. There we go. Take two. Whenever your tacking clamps are your friend. We'll try it again. Looks good. We'll make it stick. Alright, we'll let that cool and I'll clean it up. See you in a bit. Hey, alright, so I have cleaned up my axle. Pretty happy with it. It's got the good 3-inch drop. My blends came out pretty nice. And so I guess the next part to talk about is the spindles. What I have is about 20 foot of 5/8 chromoly round bar. and I found a way to tap it. I made a custom die handle to put threads in this stuff. It's extremely hard. It's 4130 chromoly. And one other thing about the 1-inch Schedule 40 pipe that I like is these cheap zinc coated nuts. They're 15/16 across. They fit inside the 1-inch Schedule 40 real well to where, and I lost it. There it is. If you cut the threads out of a nut and slide it on, you can weld it there, weld that on, and then jam that into your axle and make a very sturdy spot to weld your spindle on. So that's what I'm going to do. I cut 2 9-inch spindles. I kind of have to wait until I build the wheels, but they'll get the same treatment. They'll get a couple nuts, they'll get put on like that, and then welded out. Threaded portion at the end for the nut, wheel slides on, and that'll be that. So I think that's about all I got for today. Got my axle made, got my parts ready. Now I just got to build some wheels. So that'll be the next video. I'll see you then.